We live in a cynical world, and we work in a business of tough competition. I love you. You complete me. In case you haven't figured it out yet, this episode's all about being complete. More specifically, entry complete. Even more specifically, that tiny little checkbox at the bottom of every Data Labs form. Yours may have a check mark in it, yours may not. What does it mean? Well, we're going to find out. It's Data Labs Hot Tips. Okay, I think a good place to start would be to actually take a look at this checkbox in case you've never noticed it before. To get a look at the elusive entry complete checkbox, we have to open a form, and then we have to click the checkout button. And here is the entry complete checkbox in the left-hand corner of the form. This one happens to be blank by default. So how does it work? Well, that really depends on whether or not your entry complete checkbox is blank by default or has a check mark in it by default. Let's take a look at the two different ways. First, we'll talk about if it's blank. Now, if the entry complete checkbox is blank, the first thing people wonder is, do I have to put a check mark in this box every time I fill out a form to let Data Labs know it's complete? Thankfully, the answer to that question is no. Data Labs actually knows whether or not all of the required fields on a form have been filled out. And if they have been, it does not make you fill out the entry complete checkbox. So that's good. Let's say you're filling out a form and you have every intention to finish it, but then out of nowhere you get an email that says there's birthday cake in the break room. First come, first serve. You gotta move. But in this scenario, since the form is not complete and the checkbox isn't checked, all you have to do is click Save and Close, and Data Labs will know that the form isn't finished yet. Back out on the patient screen, you can see the form has a yellow box on it. That means it's only partially submitted. So, after your cake, you can come back and pick up where you left off. If for some reason you wanted to leave these fields blank, then you would click the Entry Complete box and save. Now, if the checkbox has a check mark in it by default, you're going to have to be a little more careful. Let's say you're filling out a form, you get about halfway through, and you decide you're going to do something else, so you're going to save your form and come back to it later. Well, because there's a check mark in the checkbox for entry complete, it's going to assume that the form was meant to be left blank. So when you come back to it later, it's going to make you enter data as if you're changing data because it thought that it was meant to be blank. Okay, I know that was a little confusing, so I'll try again. Let's say I only wanted to fill out half of this form now and fill out the rest later. So I fill out some of the fields, but I forget to uncheck the entry complete checkbox, and then I save the form. Oops, I made a mistake and didn't realize it. Because when I come back later to finish this form, Data Labs thinks that I already completed the form with no intention of adding more data, and now when I fill in the blank fields, I'll have to tell the system why I'm making changes to a supposedly completed form. In this scenario, if you just wanted to complete the form, just fill out the form and select one of the save options. And with that, this Data Labs Hot Tip is complete.